The question is, are we going to go deep into each of these different libraries, or deep into these individual ecosystems, I guess, of Java and Python and etc. Front master's goal is it's kind of like keep what we have up to date, right? So the way I look at it is essentially like a pie, right? And that pie like continues to expand. We've basically got like a third model. So a third is just like keeping the core courses up to date, the things that everybody's learning, the top 50 courses, keeping those up to date. You'll see, we have version 1 through version 8. And then another third is like topics that people need for their job and don't exist on front end masters. So that, we got a lot of requests for, all the core languages like Python, Rust is picking up steam, and, Java. These are skills that people generally don't enjoy learning from other platforms, from what I understand. And they want us to, or, people want us to cover these things and do it in our format. So we kind of dip our toes into these other areas or fundamentals. So yeah, like Python fundamentals, now Java fundamentals. But are we going to go beyond the fundamentals? At this point, not. I don't think that we have enough room in that like pie to go too much further, right? We can kind of do like a couple languages a year or so. Yeah, this year is Rust and Java. Neo Eva X says there's a lot of .NET, and so that he'd love to see some .NET. That's certainly in the cards. Like if we find the right instructor for kind of covering the basics of .NET, I think that's where we would start. And then as we see like usage in the platform go up for, for whatever reason, if one of these languages pops on the platform and we get a lot of usage and a lot of people asking for more. I know in Minnesota where we are, there's a huge .NET ecosystem, and then people are getting really excited about Blazor and all these kinds of things. So it's like, yeah, are we going to cover like everything about the .NET ecosystem or everything about the Java ecosystem or Python ecosystem? No, absolutely not. But these kind of core fundamentals of the language, I think, is just useful to a lot of developers. We're going to dip our toes in, see what usage is, and then from there, once we cover all kind of the core languages, then we could see about covering something like, Django and Python, or, some sort of actual web framework, or, app framework on these things. Yeah, you won't see a whole lot of other languages other than JavaScript and the whole UI ecosystem. Now we have like Next and SvelteKit and all these different like full stack frameworks. There's a lot of ways that we could go there with just JavaScript alone, much less like covering each of these individual um, ecosystem. It looks like Ronaldson threw in a comment about Intro to Go was really helpful because they had to work, or he had to work on a Go HTML template, and that course give him a quick way to bootstrap up to the language. And yeah, that's our goal at this point. It's mostly just to get the fundamentals, so we have like working knowledge in like these other languages. So why is thinking in algorithms day 2 still to be determined? Kyle, at the time where he gave me all the workshop info, had the full day, the first day fully fleshed out, and then he was working on the second day. And I think the second day is going to be like only a half a day. I don't think that there's going to be a ton on that second day. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, a lot of you joined. We have just an absolute epic calendar year already. Just it's been incredible, the amount of enthusiasm and excitement from our teachers for this year in particular. Last year was our biggest content year in terms of just sheer days in the studio. We were in the studio a lot. We recorded a lot of really, really awesome stuff. It's like 2020 and 2021 were kind of difficult for reasons. And then 2022, we got the studio fully back up and running. Everybody was flying to Minneapolis. We had the in-person audience going. And so we recorded like a lot of really, really great stuff last year. And we're still getting through the releases of the last courses that we recorded back in December. So we have a couple more that are going to hit the platform either today or tomorrow on web storage APIs and web authentication APIs. And honestly, I took both of those courses myself because they're really interesting. It's pretty rare that you get like a full, kind of breakdown of like a section of web development, like web storage. A lot of us use local storage, but it's like there are better options today. Maximiliano, who is a new instructor last year, he started with doing the mobile courses, and then now he's getting, I'm pushing him to do a lot of like fundamentals of web development. And I think he did really really great job. And then on the authentication one, it's like really cool because you see logging in with actually Touch ID and stuff like that, which using passkeys, which is like WebAuthn, and so that's hitting the platform soon. So I always get like really really excited about the fundamentals, but I know we've released a lot of great React based content, and then Solid, and we have Quick coming up, which yeah, I'm pretty excited about as well. Some comments come in here. Love tooling courses like Webpack, but don't see a lot of them like in the upcoming workshops. Got it. You have any ideas? So we do have a monorepo course by Mike North, which kind of covers his approach for TypeScript, well, large projects. So you might want to check that out. I can talk to him about doing an update. Since then, obviously, new tools and stuff have come out, but yeah, you might want to check that one out. It's been interesting to well, covering tooling. It's very difficult to find somebody who's going to give a full day workshop like specifically on Vite or something like that. Whereas a lot of the courses like Complete Intro to React, we just integrate Vite into that. That kind of gives you the basics of it. It's difficult. I think if we found the right teacher, we'd definitely do tooling workshops. But yeah, in the meantime, I would say that Mike North is the most up to date when it comes to managing large repos. Are we going to have any workshops where we build apps using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript without any frameworks, as we see movement against framework gaining momentum? We do have a couple of courses. Of course, our intro to web development, it has projects that are just vanilla. Brian Holt created creating a game, full game. So he created like a Neopet type app, which he did the basics of state machines and building a full app in JavaScript. So you should definitely check that one out. And of course, I've been talking about doing something like this forever. I created the Modern To Do MVC vanilla project, and then lately I've been doing some basic demos around CSS animation and some JavaScript APIs. So I'm like kind of like hacking on a course like that on sort of the nights and weekends. I'd love to create that because frontendmasters.com is obviously like or maybe it's not obvious to you, but it's all vanilla JavaScript, and we're going to adopt migrate a lot of that to TypeScript. But yeah, it's all, at least frontendmasters.com is all vanilla JavaScript. And then when it comes to like our dashboard and that kind of thing, that's built with the kitchen sink with React and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I've been thinking about this approach of building something in pure JavaScript, and then if you want to make like declarative UI with data attributes, and then if you want to go further, you could make declarative web components. If you want to go further than that, you could add like something like lit HTML, which still keeps everything really small and tight. And then if you need something like full blown, you could really throw like Svelte inside of a web component, and you have like a little micro front end. Anyways, this is just me ranting about kind of like some of the architecture thoughts I've had in terms of like modern tooling and JavaScript, and some it's stuff that I want to make sure works on our site, and then eventually either blog about it or create a workshop on it, that kind of thing. So yeah, Ian found it, complete front end project, build a game. Yep. And then yeah, something with Lerna and Turbo Repo would be great. I agree. Uh, that's kind of like, some of the more modern tooling around this area. I think Mike North's course might use Lerna. You would have to, yeah, you have to take a look at it to see what the entire stack is. Any interest in 3JS? So we do have a couple courses that use 3JS. You should look at Matt Delorier's course, uh, Creative Coding with Canvas and WebGL, and then Advanced Creative Coding with WebGL and shaders. So yeah, I believe he uses 3JS in those courses, and you can kind of, well, I know for sure the shaders one does. But yeah, you should definitely check out those courses. Those courses are absolutely epic. And yeah, unfortunately, we won't see any more from Matt that I know of because he got rich on the whole uh, NFT stuff, which he fully deserves. He's been doing creative coding for a very long time, and he released like um, some really cool art. I see Ronald send you linked in the chat. That's great. Any course on micro front ends? Nothing in particular. I've not really seen many people talking about using micro front ends in production, and a lot of our teachers and stuff, when I talk with them, they're not currently using that approach. Like I said, I like it personally, and I'm advocating it in the front end masters code base for like certain parts of the website that might be super interactive that we might not, vanilla JavaScript might not be the best fit. Like if we could stick something like lit or svelte inside of a web component and then have like that section of the website be super interactive instead of like having to, globally add a framework and then render everything. So I like the micro front ends approach. It's just I haven't seen a whole lot of people focused on, well, using it in production and then focused on training around it. But it's definitely been a lot of a course that a lot of people have been requesting for sure. Yeah. So have you considered any entrepreneurial classes? Yeah, actually, I got a really good proposal in from Paul Boeg, which he does couple of courses. He did one on freelancing and on UX. And so, yeah, you should check out his courses. They're pretty good. They're not really specifically developer related, but he had like a pretty good pitch around validating your SaaS, putting up a landing page, seeing if people are interested in that kind of thing, and kind of building the early cycles of it. So more on the like marketing side of it rather than the actual technical side of it. So I would probably have to find somebody. Well, I mean, I think a lot of our courses kind of get you the technical side of it, but it would be good to have like, dip our toes into that space and because yeah, a lot of people want to do side projects or whatever, and maybe it's a good project for just for fun, or if it's something you're making business out of, that's cool too. Yeah, do we have any process for retiring courses that get out of date? Yeah, absolutely. As you've probably seen on the site, if you click on an old course, you'll see on the top bar a message that says like this course no longer follows best practices or industry standards or that kind of thing, or it will say like there is a updated version of this course. Yeah, that's our essentially a process. We have a tool. It's a feedback tool. So if you're a member and then you see the little like I don't know bullhorn or megaphone thing on the top right of the video, there's a way to like give feedback in there, and it's linked to the timestamp in the video. And so, we receive hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different feedback across all of our courses, and we have somebody who can actually, write code reviewing those and responding to those and fixing things in the courses, these kinds of things in the course materials. So we're constantly listening to feedback about the courses because sometimes it's general feedback. We we give that to the instructor. Or if there's a lot, like, maybe some just really, old or out of date stuff that just will not work, at that point we'll just put a deprecated message on the top of the course. I think the only time that's ever happened that where we don't have an answer, like an update, is Electron, because currently I think Electron V2 people are running into enough problems where we just threw a deprecated notice on that. And we are going to record a Electron V3 in the fall, but it's not going to be out for a while. So like that's kind of the only course on the platform where it's like, yeah, this is going to be a challenge to get through, but we've at least warned you about it. In general, like if something gets to that state, we quickly do an update. So that's why we have V2 through V3 all the way through V8 for complete intro to React. Hopefully that gives you some insight into how that works. Agile management. I'm not sure. I don't have any experience with agile management, nor do I really know anybody. So if you have any contacts or something, you can throw me so I can dive into that. That might be a good idea there. Is there any plans to do an updated version of rethinking asynchronous programming in JavaScript? I would need a bit more detail as far as like what you think is outdated, because I know he covers async await and all these kinds of things, or I believe he does. But yeah, I could probably ask him. He's going to be here this weekend, so I can pass that feedback along. He does not cover async await. Okay, so yeah, I think I believe Will Sentence's new hard parts would be our answer to that. I'll definitely take a look. That's a good note. Like I said, Kyle hasn't been here in a while, so it'll be good to catch up with him and see what his thoughts are. So yeah, like I said, just really, really big start of the year. January for me was mostly, and even up until now, a lot of instructor meetings talking about the year and talking about what people are excited to teach. I'm going to run through, some of the workshops we've got upcoming. First, I want to note that 2 courses are about to drop either later today or tomorrow. Definitely by Monday on web APIs for storage, data storage. So it was really cool to see Max kind of cover a really fundamental part of the web that doesn't get much coverage anywhere else. Like I don't know where else you would get that course. Like a lot of us still use local storage, even though it's not super ideal, it's not super performant. There's new APIs, and we can even access the file system. So that's really cool. And then web APIs for authentication. So he kind of goes from just basic passwords all the way up to being able to log in with passkeys, which allows you to log in with Touch ID, federated login, these kinds of things. So it's just him covering authentication in detail. And yeah, there's like I tweeted the other day, like, is anybody using the credentials API? Because I didn't even know that existed, and it's really, really cool. So I get really excited and I geek out over the fundamentals workshops that are just like parts of the web APIs that are not covered really anywhere else. So I'm excited about releasing those 2. I took those 2 courses actually front to back. So those will hit the platform soon, and then we have Quick. And honestly, as far as frameworks go, like that one is really exciting to me because there's actually something different about it. The fact that it like changes the execution model of JavaScript, the fact that you don't have to load and execute everything before, like the entire state of the world before you see your app. Quick has a lot of potential. I think it's really, really interesting. You should look into it if you haven't. And obviously we're going to be releasing the course. And then, as we talked about, going into some languages like Rust and Java, those will be interesting. And then, the hard parts of UI development, everybody's been like begging and begging for, I feel like years, for this thing to actually happen. So it's finally actually happening. I'm excited about it, and yeah, it's no longer framework specific. It's really kind of the problem of just UI in general and how we are able to respond to user events and state and that kind of thing in the UI. So it'll be really cool. And then yeah, the other one that came, I feel like specifically from all your suggestions on Discord, was the enterprise UI development course, or is going to be the enterprise UI development course by Steve. There's a lot of debate on if, I'm a team lead, should we use the Angular ecosystem because everything's kind of baked, all the different solutions, or do we use React, which you have to choose a bunch of tools and these kinds of things. So there's a lot of debate there. So we're going to do enterprise UI development, and Steve has experience building large apps and obviously React, but also Svelte. So he can give us his perspective on that. And it's really going to come down to like a lot about testing and code quality and CI/CD and that kind of thing. So yeah, I appreciate all of your suggestions on Discord for sure. Yeah, it's great. So someone said Webpack is still a topic learning path. How about changing it to tooling, including courses like Vim? Yeah, I've thought about just tooling in general, like monorepos, Vite, Webpack. I don't know if like Vim to me is like a code editor, so I don't know if it would fit there. I put Vim under the full stack, or I should say we put Vim under the full stack learning path because if you log into like a remote server, Vim is everywhere. So it's like kind of fundamental to being able to do the basics of sysadmin because it's a tool that you can jump into on any server and get some stuff done. I'll have to think about that more. That's a good suggestion. So yeah, enterprise UI development, that's going to be cool. And then another one that we're going to do some experimenting with is advanced front end and JavaScript questions. So this is going to be like 50 different questions across, front end in general. And we're going to play with some new UI inside the courses player to like pop up actual interstitial questions and see if people like that format where you're able to like, actually click and answer a question and then see the answer in video format. Should be fun. Any more design focused workshops? I'm kind of talking through what's coming up. I don't, other than CSS foundations and practical CSS layouts. I mean, obviously that's more developer focused. It's not strict designer. The main courses that we have are on the design to code path, which we have, Design for Developers by Sarah Drasner, which is timeless classic. It's awesome. And then we have like a UX design course. Enterprise Design Systems Thinking is also design. It's going to be more around organizational thinking and like creating design systems. It's not going to be like coding. It's going to be more of a high level design workshop. So that's, I guess, in that kind of like design UX part. He's asking about interviews and the date courses at front of masters and their dates. Not sure what you mean there. I mean, we're pretty good at updating any courses that are out of date. Like I said, we get hundreds and hundreds of feedback items across our courses, and if we see anything that's not up to date, we'll either do a version update or we'll deprecate the course. Or if we see some sort of pattern, we'll create something new. So yeah, everything in our learning paths are for sure safe to and super relevant to professional development at any, I would say, any job. So yeah, definitely check out the learning paths as like these are the courses we recommend, and we're pretty diligent about making sure that all of the code works and it's all up to date. So then yeah, we're gonna do Svelte and Svelte Kit with Rich Harris. Should be fun. Yeah, React security. people have asked a lot about security, so we put that on the books. Um, Maximiliano is going to do another fundamentals of the web with web capabilities APIs. So like everything from like Bluetooth APIs and all the different things that we can do on the web that a lot of people don't know that we can do on the web. People have asked a lot for more performance stuff related stuff, so we're going to do that. What is your favorite UI framework? Oh, I think I'm not sure. Are you asking me my favorite UI framework? Yeah, practical CSS layouts. Like a lot of people just, really like the project-based approach. We changed our JavaScript fundamentals to be more project-based, which people have responded super, super well to that. So we're going to do that with CSS layouts, and then we're going to do some fun ones like making beats for developers. That's going to be fun. And then of course, like Astro is gaining a lot of steam. Yeah, chatbots, CSS foundations. Someone said, I don't understand why we need another algorithms course from Kyle if we already have primogens, the last algorithms course you'll ever need. Yeah, I mean, I think he says like right in the beginning intro of that course that it's kind of a clickbait title. Um, if you follow Primogen stuff on YouTube, he's like right on the edge. He's not like clickbait, but he's like right on the edge with all of the naming of his videos and stuff. Like he definitely delivers, um, but yeah. So yeah, Svati's asking, what is your favorite UI framework currently, Mark? Yeah, I think if you if you followed any of my stuff or know me, like I'm actually like fairly, I wouldn't say like totally anti framework, but I think a lot of times the problems that I have a whole podcast on this on I could post in the chat, but podcast episode. But like my view is a lot of these framework ecosystems introduce a ton of dependencies and performance issues, and you end up like you want to do something really specific and you can't because the framework doesn't accommodate it, so you have to escape hatch and like write your own code anyway. So I just prefer to write the minimal code for the task at hand. So yeah, I I guess I'm a fan of TypeScript, so I just use just straight vanilla JavaScript TypeScript. I don't know if you can call it vanilla TypeScript. I just prefer to write the code necessary to do the job and not use frameworks. But if you want me to like zoom out and say what, force me to pick one, if I was forced to pick one right now, I think it would be probably like I like Svelte's approach. If you don't use the framework feature or whatever, it won't ship the code, it won't ship the runtime. Um, so I definitely like Svelte's approach. So if I was like forced to use a UI framework, if I had no choice, I would probably go that route. But if it was like a really big project, um, despite its quirks, I would probably like I don't know. I think Quick's approach of flipping the like execution model on its head, where it's like not only do you not ship the code like for a feature like Svelte does, but it like goes even further, and it's like if you don't need this code path at all, like it doesn't need to be loaded at all. So it's yeah, I don't know. I guess that's my view is like I would um I'm kind of like I said working on this kind of educational material around um, building like declarative UI with just vanilla JavaScript, or then like adding web components and then adding, something like lit if you need more power or more, things done for you. And then if you want to, you could add in something like Svelte or something like as a micro front end. So I like that approach at a high level. I don't really like frameworks that take over your entire, the way you develop. And I've always had problems with that going back to, you know, going back like over a decade, and all these different frameworks. Anything that says it has the solution to all of your problems means that, you need something specific out of it and you're out of luck. and that causes a lot of problems. So that's that's kind of my view on that. I like minimal tools rather than full blown things. But that's just my personal slant. There's a comment in here that we have a lot on React, but when it comes to like Vue or Nuxt, there's less like advanced stuff. We just revamped like all of our Vue stuff from scratch, like all the way from like the basics all the way to Nuxt. You know, I think we could go deeper. There's like a production ready Vue course that kind of covers some of the topics you were talking about. So we could definitely like do an update to that that covers some of what you're talking about. I could talk with Ben Hong about that for sure. Yeah, definitely. Of course, there's just so many developers that are using React at their jobs. So unfortunately, like when it comes to what we pick as far as courses, like we have to go where the biggest need is. I think we have a good Vue community around Front End Masters, and so like I said, we revamped everything, all of our Vue learning path from scratch all the way to Nuxt. And yeah, we could certainly go deeper, and we can talk to Ben Hung about that for sure. Do all workshops become courses later? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would like to see a course on how to approach legacy code. That is a really interesting topic. I have no idea who would want to teach that. Um, if you have any, if you have any recommendations, or you can drop those books that you mentioned in chat, maybe I can talk with the authors. And then we've got a few workshops. People asked, as a lot of our community, we've existed for over a decade, so it's been interesting to see our community go to like leadership positions and that kind of thing. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of requests for engineering management, product management, that kind of thing. So we're gonna do some courses on that. Then we've got some fun ones, Scratch for kids. I know I have kids. Many of you probably have kids, so we're gonna build apps. Build apps with Scratch should be fun, and then hardware as well. And then with TypeScript 5 coming out, and new features and all that kind of stuff, we'll do a nice little revamp of our TypeScript learning path, of everything that we've learned from our TypeScript courses. Like, our TypeScript courses are wildly popular, and they're, of course, TypeScript mostly adds new features, so it's all super relevant and up to date. It's just we have new features that we'd like to cover, so we'll do a revamp in the fall. And then I'm super excited, but it's like way out in December, advanced CSS techniques for interactive UI. I loved David Khorshid's CSS animations course. If you haven't seen it, it's awesome. Since I went through it, I created I incorporated a lot of animations into like our promotion page from the fall. I don't know if anybody saw that, but yeah. And then I created like a bunch of different animations actually over the weekend. It was just fun. I just I think it's so cool, like all the stuff that we can do with CSS. I'll post the link in the chat. So I created 10 different. I'll probably blog about it, but 10 different like CSS effects, either like hover effects or scroll effects. Yeah, massive lineup. Yeah, again, really appreciate all of your course suggestions and Discord, and yeah, it's been awesome. Allows us to, continue to incorporate your thoughts into planning. Any plans for courses that teach DOM manipulation? Yeah, we the JavaScript fundamentals to functional, like it pretty much like the whole thing has DOM manipulation throughout it. Like we kind of found that teaching the fundamentals, like you kind of want to interact with things and see things move and change. And so we incorporated DOM manipulation and like real world kind of like mini projects into that. And then of course, Will Sentence's hard parts of UI, that's going to essentially be around DOM manipulation, building UIs and that kind of thing. So, is there any course on WebRTC sockets? Yeah, we have a complete intro to real time course by Brian Holt. So check that out. That covers all of it. It'd be cool to take some real world front end app, store API requests, etc., and tests. I think that's the approach we took with Complete Intro to React. It's a real world project. It has testing, it has all API requests, it has all of the things that you just mentioned. And not only that, but we just did a full stack course with Next, which is an entire app from scratch. And same with the Vue course. The Vue course is building it's a simpler blog app, but it's a lot of our courses are all taking that approach of um, building something real world while teaching you the concepts. I think the only courses that aren't that way are, like language fundamentals, like the deep language fundamentals like Kyle Simpson's or Will Sentences, which are like, some of the highest rated courses on our platform. They're all, um, they focus on, stuff in detail about the language. But I think most of our courses, we're continuing to incorporate building projects into the core curriculum, like we just released fundamentals to fundamentals to first steps to professional for JavaScript, which is a bunch of little mini projects while learning JavaScript. Any courses on Playwright? Well, we covered Cypress in detail. Playwright is like ancillary, or like, I don't know, it's another option. So I think in the enterprise UI development course that or workshop that we have coming up, I'm not exactly sure if he's going to be using Playwright or Cypress in that one, but I can definitely talk to him about it. But that's part of the course, is like, how do you unit test? How do you end-to-end test? How do you set it up with your CI/CD, code quality, all that kind of stuff. So, and I think he might actually be using Playwright for that, but I'll talk to him about that. I've got a question for you all. Like, what stack are you currently working in? I should just make that a public question on the Discord, because I'd love to hear from everybody what stacks they're using, especially, our community is, you know, fairly large, but like, this Discord is fairly new and these kinds of things. So like, um, it's a smaller sample size, but you all are like generally more advanced. It would be really interesting to see everybody's stack. Maybe we should do like a survey across front of masters or something. It would be really interesting. I know there's the JavaScript survey, but that's like the community at large. Like sometimes it's fun to see like what specifically front end masters community looks like. Ian says currently knockout with .NET and moving to React and Next with the .NET backend. React with a really, really awful code base. Well, yeah, that happens. That's why you learn on front end masters and become the expert for your team, and hopefully untwist and unwind some of that stuff. Oh, why blog post stopped? Oh, that is kind of on me. Like I just got really, really busy with all the course planning and yeah, all the current responsibilities. And I have two more blog posts ready to go. So I'll try to get those on the platform. What we have is pretty high quality. And also like I would like to write some more. Like I need to write more and get some content going. Like I said, I did those 10 like CSS effects over the weekend. It'd be fun to break down a blog post on how some of those effects work. So yeah, it's like surprisingly difficult to like launch and launch a blog, and like you know some of these publications have established writing authors, and unfortunately, like a lot of what I'm finding is a lot of our course teachers aren't really the type, even though it's like they're coding on their day job, or they come and do front end masters and teach for a day, but they don't like sit there and write and push out content like every day, like some of these, full-time content creators. Like they're generally, and that's what we like about a lot of the front end masters and instructors. They're actually coding, you know, for their day job instead of like only full-time creating content. There are a few um, that are full-time content creators, but it's like few and far between. We prefer really people who are writing production code, and it's pretty difficult to always be like blogging and making videos and doing courses and all that kind of stuff. So how about the front end master's handbook? It's interesting. So we have the front end learning roadmap, and we definitely want to do another version of either the front end learning roadmap or the front end handbook that kind of became one project. But we have like a new project that's similar to that vein. We're gonna first cover like JavaScript in detail and TypeScript in detail. Um, and then we're going to see how that goes, and then maybe do circle back to either an updated learning roadmap or front end handbook. But yeah, um, thanks for the push on the blog. I'll definitely get some new articles up there. Like I said, two ready to go, and I have a bunch of ideas. How about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? How hyped are you? Yeah, you see all my Zelda stuff here. Or well, link. Like, yeah, it's all. I'm super hyped. I was showing, honestly, before bed last night. I showed my kids the trailer of Tears of the Kingdom. So that's how hyped I am. I literally, like, before bed, instead of like a book or something like normal parents, like I showed my kids the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. Uh, being a geek is awesome, isn't it? Isn't it, folks? I think it's awesome. We get to like, I don't know, build. We're like magicians. We get to build all this stuff. Like, I don't know. Like that's why I got like so hyped over the weekend. I'm just like creating all this CSS effects, and I'm like, all the new power of CSS. Like I would have killed for that stuff. Like, 10 years ago, doing this stuff was so difficult, and now it's like, yeah, you can just add transition and change stuff, and it just happens. And now like we're getting this new, I think they changed the name of the API, but shared element transitions, where you can like take, two elements and like transition between one to the other. It's crazy. I think it's called the view transition API. Let me see. View transition. We're just getting all these cool new platform APIs. That's why I'm generally such a big fan of the principles of writing vanilla JavaScript as much as possible, because it forces you to really learn the APIs, and then you like all of a sudden find out all these APIs that you can use and all the cool stuff. It's like versus when I feel like the mindset of, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I feel like the mindset of a lot of times like a typical framework developer is to just, if I can't npm install it, like I can't use it. Whereas, yeah, if you like learn the APIs, it's great. That's why I like, yeah, Max's upcoming courses and a lot of the deep dives on fundamentals. And yeah, it's interesting, like us compared to a lot of other platforms. It's like something like 6 out of our top 10 courses are on really language fundamentals or fundamentals, and not frameworks. So I think a lot of our community resonates with that, like really understanding the language, understanding the platform, and I think that's a lot of times what separates like a junior mid-level engineer from um, somebody who's more senior, is that they're able to like tackle hard challenges close to the metal with like high performance. Yeah, when needed, of course. You don't want to um, throw out productivity because you're trying to make everything custom. But even though I would prefer to write everything custom, it's just, yeah, I understand it's not practical for a lot of environments. Yeah, thank you all for joining. It was really great. We should definitely do these more often. I know I said that last time, and then I went dark for a couple of months because it was like holidays, and then all the scheduling all these workshops and talking with all the instructors. It just got really busy. But yeah, I'll try to prioritize this um, more often, I guess. Maybe I could shoot for at least once a month or something. But yeah, thanks for everybody for joining. Thanks again for all of your um, topic requests and feedback and stuff like that. And you know, it's been really really great. Like especially using that feedback feature inside the player and throwing in your feedback there. It's really valuable to us and to the community, so we can keep evolving and keep releasing really awesome stuff. So thanks for everybody joining, and I hope you guys, gals, and everybody has a great rest of your week and weekend. So peace.